Let's bring in Mr. Tebogo Khaas, the founder and chairperson of Public Interest SA, to weigh in on the issue of the miners that remain, illegal miners to be precise, that remain trapped underground. Tebogo, thank you so much for being with us today. Good afternoon. Let's first get your observations as Public Interest South Africa on this ongoing matter.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Alicia. You know, this is quite concerning, and to say it's troubling is just an understatement, because to have so many people trapped underground and doing what ought not to have been done in the first place just shows the level of lawlessness that we have in the country, where you've got people, both locals or South Africans and foreigners, conducting what should have not been happening, but purely because the mines were left unused and not secured. It's just a sad indictment on our government capacity and ability to make sure that the safety and security, and make sure that mines themselves, make sure that they leave the mines not in a position where they can be easily accessed once they've left or they become fallow. But it also talks to something. It talks something bigger, because it shows that there's a network of criminality, of criminals, white-collar criminals, you might call them, who prey on the vulnerables, whether they are South African or from outside of this country, to come and dig the minerals and to only serve them. Because most of this gold, as we've come to establish, actually gets to be exported and processed in other jurisdictions like Dubai, for example. And these people, these zamazamas, as they are now known as, you would find that for them it's a way of earning a living, but at the same time depriving the fiscus all the very same resources that they now want the government to help them when they are stranded underground and they need to come out, and some of them are perishing down there.
You know, Tebogo, you raise a very valid point there, because there's this big question of who exactly is benefiting from these proceeds that are made through the activities of illegal mining. Now, on the side of police that have ensured that they would stop the supply to the illegal miners until they actually surface, are they in direct violation of any rights of these illegal miners? Because we've heard some various groups saying their basic human rights are actually being violated. And I mean, we're also trying to establish the line then between criminality as a choice versus the state, as you said earlier, enforcing its laws. And there were ample warnings about this operation, giving enough time for the miners to actually hit the core.
No, absolutely. I agree with those who actually postpone on the treatment that the state is giving these miners, but depriving them of basic essentials to life. Because you know that the right to life is entrenched in our Bill of Rights, and whether somebody is committing crime or is involved in actions that they ought not to be at the time is neither here nor there, because as we all know, even criminals who have been involved in cash in transit, if they get injured, they still do get assistance and rush to hospitals to be treated. And then you can deal with the criminality at some other point after the fact. But to actually deliberately curtail or stop the provisioning of supplies for whatever reasons in itself is in breach of the Constitution. And it is also very difficult, because it places the South African police services or the criminal justice system in a very precarious position, because on the one hand, we want them to stop this activity. And if they also contribute towards providing them with water and resources that they need to continue underground, it means they will also be accused with the same breath of actually aiding and abetting the very same criminality that we despise. We've got houses in areas that are affected, especially around West. I know some in the around the Ratong area in the West Rand, around Kagiso, where underground mining is actually beginning to affect houses themselves, which are cracking because it is uncontrolled. There's blasting happening underground, and officials are aware of this. So you ask yourself, there's a right of communities to also live, but at the same time, there's a right of those who want to eke out a living to do that. But it has to be done within the realms or ambit of the law.
Literally between a rock and a hard place, Tebogo. Now, in your view, how will this issue then be resolved then, so we eradicate the illegal mining activities and government at the same time stamps its authority? According to reports, there's still more than 4,000 illegal miners or zamazamas that are still underground. And this is at the back, Tebogo, of numerous arrests recently, meaning that these illegal miners will not cease their operations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are the pawns in the whole chess game because they are easily to be replaced by those who are also willing to risk their lives, spending months, if not years, underground. But it also talks to the need for this to be an all-of-society approach because at the same time, we've seen communities who also benefit from the activity, the illicit activity around those zamazamas, who actually benefit from them by providing them with food, shelter, because they know that they'll get paid or money or derive benefits out of them. So society itself also needs to reckon or face the reality of whether do they want to see an end to this illegal or illicit economy being perpetuated with their assistance, and therefore also not want to feed off it. And some of them, they actually accommodate them, even if they know that they may be foreigners without proper accreditation or papers to be in this country. They still accommodate them, and yet they complain. We turn around and complain to government and say, "Government, you should do something." But also, it talks to the porous borders that we have, that people can walk in and out as if they're going to shop across the street into South Africa, in and out, and also even the ports of entry themselves, so to be able to export this type of minerals. It shows to a bigger melee in society of criminality that needs an all of society to happen. For as long as this type of criminality happens or practice happens, we can rest assured we will remain grey listed as we are currently, and our economic woes will continue to be worse with each passing day.
Tebogo reminds me of the suspected food poisoning trend that is currently taking place across the country, where communities themselves are the ones that are making sure or ensuring that they're still going to outsource food from dealers that are non-reputable. But thank you so much for your input this afternoon, Mr. Tebogo Khaas, Chairperson of Public Interest South Africa.